Hello, Jacob. You remember me, don't you?
Okay, chat, you can't be so meta like this.
Yeah, I'm back. For those of you that don't know me, hi, my name is Star. I'm an 8-time certified caffeine-addicted engineering major and the resident engineer of the Good Kid Discord. I love engineering. It's my major, my passion, a way to express my creativity. But what do I love more than engineering? Say it with me, everyone. Good Kid.
OSHA guidelines.
No, we stay safe so nobody gets injured.
Fuck that. All my homies die at work.
We all love Good Kid a lot, and I love the band so much that I decided to embrace the inner power of my ADHD, commitment, and enough caffeine to give an elephant a heart attack to create what I consider to be one of the first monstrosities of my career. Did I spend 6 hours trying to mocap myself as my Sona in an attempt to make this video funny? Yes, I did. Is this purple little shit going to guide you through the entire video because I'm too lazy to do it myself? You're damn right he is. This project cost me $120, 3 weeks, and most of my mental sanity. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite bubbly, and enjoy the painstaking journey filled with math, physics, terrible jokes, and fourth wall breaks of how I made Mimi's drone come to life. I apologize in advance. Grab a drink, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. Creating Mimi's drone came down to a few things. The MDS music video shows her flying at a consistent speed of around 100 kilometers an hour. And this is, well, brutally impossible. So we had to settle for something a lot slower. Weight also plays into this, so we're obviously going to need to shrink it down quite a lot in order for this thing to fly. For power, we'd need a battery capable of at least 3 to 6 minutes of flight time, since this is a small project and, you know, not a government-issued contract. Lockheed, call me. We'd also need a motor capable of spinning quite fast, and our ideal rate for this project is around 500 to 1000 RPM, and this should produce enough lift to get our drone off the ground and keep it airborne. The biggest issue came with how I plan to build the drone itself, and I need to elaborate why, so pay attention. Mimi's drone is what's called a monocopter. Monocopters don't use tail rotors to turn, they use an internal gyroscope and flaps. Something like this is a closer example of Mimi's drone. But there's 2 issues with this. A monocopter relies on its internal gyroscope and flaps and also needs an intense amount of airflow to produce lift. Without an open chassis, it'd never be able to fly. And second, it's expensive as hell. How expensive, you ask? About $1,500 more than your average drone. If you're currently asking yourself, what the fuck? Why so much? Then congratulations! Welcome to the design process. So I went with the easier design because it's cheaper. And I'm lazy. On day 1 of production, my first priority was making sure that I even had enough of the correct materials to build the drone itself. I had decided to test a set of turbine motors that we had stored in a box up on the shelf to see if I'd be able to use them. So I pulled them down, set up a power supply, connected the wires, and began feeding it power. And just like my professional fish slapping career, this did not go as planned. This is what happens when a motor says, I've had enough of your bullshit, and decides it's time to meet God same-day shipping. A motor fries itself when it produces too much heat, and since amperage draw is directly proportional to how much heat it produces, the more heat that a motor generates, the more power it's going to draw, and vice versa. That clicking sound that you hear in the background is the PSU crying out for help like a toddler lost in a Walmart. What happened here is the motor drew over 1.5 amps and generated almost double its maximum output at the recommended voltage. I checked the other 2 that we had and determined that they were both a hazard to the shop and my precious power unit. Since those were a no-go, I opened Amazon and ordered a few things. The next week was spent waiting for parts. Originally, I would have had them before September, but because accounting loves us so much, our entire department didn't get any grants until a month after I had already bought everything out of pocket. So thanks, I guess. You dicks. Luckily, everything did come into play. And a week later, the parts arrived.
So the basis for this thing is here. Thankfully, it took 4 screwdrivers, but thank you, Gabe, for
No problem.
yeah, thank you for giving me that stuff.
We don't have precision screwdrivers.
We do not. That's the ironic thing, is we don't have precision screwdriver
I
sets.
have like 4 sets at home.
You gotta bring some of that stuff, dude. Why not?
God, those are expensive.
In order to have enough power to get off the ground with the new base, it was going to need to be extremely light. And after removing some of the parts from the ground build and doing some heavy flight tests, I figured the lightest material would be PLA filament because of its availability and how much we had, and also how light it was. So, after finding the right color,
I'm not sure. We're fine. That right there.
I took the original base file that I used to create Dronemu, the 3D printed model that I gave to Jacob during the Houston show, which currently resides on the lower shelf to his left, and started printing.
Just got back from donating blood. That was fun. I feel, yeah. Look at it go. Look at it go. You still got a shit ton of time left. But look at it go.
And finally, 2 hours later,
It's done.
this thing was the largest pain in my ass ever! Because this thing was too small and over the maximum weight limit, I had to go back to my laptop, change the settings on the infill and wall thickness, upload it to the thumb drive, and print and repeat the exact same process of tearing out the infill. 7 times. Written in the back of my old diary, we all gotta break sometime, and holy shit did I break down during that. After struggling against the I'm sorry, I'm looking over at my script and I completely forgot that I wrote this down, so... okay. After struggling against the equivalent of trying to grind away at Kim Kardashian with a handheld sander, I managed to get the base to a point where I could fit the chassis. And then I realized I couldn't get the blades to fit through the top. So, sick of having to reprint and fix everything, and having run out of Monster Energy 3 hours prior, I proceeded to do the only logical thing I could think of. I gave it a lobotomy. And luckily, it fit the chassis perfectly. But during testing, I crashed it and broke the blades. I have a really bad habit of breaking things. Maybe I should. But the great Kabsune Miku had blessed me with a soldering iron. So, with the power of hot glue and about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, I had the blades back on and secure in about 30 minutes or so. For a few hours, we ran test after test, checking that it had the lift to make sure it'd stay airborne, and running control tests on the transmitter, gyroscope, and other important components. This was the most important part of this entire project before we even managed to fly it. And finally, after 4 months of waiting, 22 days of production and design, and the encouragement from friends, the Good Kid Discord, and the band themselves, I concluded my production and recorded the first successful flight of my very own MDS drone.
No. Yep.
Well, it's very unstable, but it flies.
This project meant a lot to me. Being able to make something that we all love come to life and have so many people adore it at the end really helped me while I was going through a lot. I want to thank everyone for their overwhelming support during the creation of it. Ryth and Sparkle for helping me make this video. The Good Kid community for the absolutely insane amount of encouragement and the ideas for the names and the designs. The band themselves for allowing me to make their creation come to life, and the shout out that I received at the Houston show for the 3D models. And finally, I want to thank you, Jacob. Your amazing encouragement and support and the love you showed towards my idea gave me the will to create something amazing for this band. Before I left the Houston show, I remember coming up to you and David, and I told you that Good Kid had literally changed my life. And I meant it. Your music got me through the worst times that I've been in, and it inspired me to start writing my own. But you told me something in that short conversation we had that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Don't let other people change how you are and how you view yourself. It really means a lot hearing that from someone that I genuinely look up to. But enough of the depressing stuff already. This is a subathon for Coblerone's sake. We're supposed to be throwing money at our favorite band member, watching him dance around on stream and do stupid stuff, and then celebrating about it. So, I want to leave something for all of you as a token of appreciation. Along with this video, I'll be releasing all the files that I created for this project, including the files to 3D print your own drone, free of charge to the Good Kid community. And before I go, I got one last thing that I gotta say to you all. I'm coming back for the premiere in AMV when it's out. Mark my word!